There's no better education than getting out and seeing the world.
The experiences are what you're going to remember in the long run.
Getting out to see the world has just really opened my eyes to a lot of things.
I know a little bit about a lot of random things, and that's because of travel.
We're going to be able to learn so much about some really great destinations.
I'm excited about how this will improve our group itineraries.
I'm really looking forward to having great conversations about places. Welcome to Destination Dispatch.
Hello, I'm Jim Delleman with Group Travel Odyssey. I want to thank you for joining us for another episode of Destination Dispatch. Before we get started today, I do want to remind you, if you've not done this yet, please, if you're watching us on YouTube, click the button below and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you ring the bell, you'll be notified anytime we have new content on our YouTube channel. As well as that, you can connect with us on LinkedIn at Group Travel Odyssey, and make sure to like the Group Travel Odyssey Facebook page as well. We've got some great things happen on our social media channels, and we would really like for you to be part of all of that as well. Today, we've got a really fantastic destination. We're going out west, and I can't do this myself, so I'm going to be bringing on my co-host today. She is our architect as well as our onboarding guru and specialist. So here's Carol Agenza. Hi, Carol.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited about this Destination Dispatch today.
I know. We're going to be going to Cody Yellowstone, and I know you've got some interest in that. You've been before a few times, have you not?
Yep. Yes, absolutely. And that is where we hope to retire one day. We'd like to get some property out there and then eventually build some housing off the grid. But it is a stunning destination to go to. Cody itself is absolutely gorgeous. And then just getting into Yellowstone too, it's pretty easy from there.
Wonderful. Well, I hope you have some questions ready for our guest today. Excellent. So let's bring him on. He is the executive director with Cody Yellowstone. Let's bring on Ryan Hauck. Ryan, how are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Doing very well. We're really excited. Kara's especially excited too, because I think, as you heard, hopefully she will be retiring. She and her family will be retiring in Cody one of these days in the future. Quite a ways away. But so we want to welcome you, and we're very excited to find out more about Cody and Yellowstone. And I'm just gonna kick things off by asking you what do you think it is that is so appealing about that region for the group traveler?
It's a multitude of things. I mean, obviously we have Yellowstone National Park right in our backyard, 2.2 million acre national park that was the first, not just in the country, but in the world, actually. And, I can explain it as hard and as best I can, but until you're actually in Yellowstone, it really is like you're in another world. You get to see it all, anything from the geysers to the colors of the Grand Prismatic Springs to all the wildlife you get to see. But not just Yellowstone, we also are home to the first and largest national forest in the country as well, Shoshone National Forest, which provides us with 14 guest and dude ranches and lots of outdoor recreation options. And then when you finally get into Cody, we also have tons of history and authentic Western experiences. And we have a lot for groups to choose from here. And it just kind of depends on what you're looking for. And I think we can find something for you.
What would you suggest, like, a key thing is to put on an itinerary for a group, especially in Cody, if we take kind of Yellowstone out of that, but Cody specifically?
So if you have 2 hours in Cody and there's nothing else that you have time to do, the number one attraction that we have here is called the Buffalo Bills Center of the West. It is 5 Smithsonian affiliate museums all under one roof. And it really is 5 museums. They're not kind of rooms that they have claimed as museums. They're truly 5 full-size museums. And they are absolutely world-class and phenomenal. I mean, Jim, if they were in the middle of Manhattan, it would still be the jewel of Manhattan. How we have it in Cody, I'm not too sure, to be honest with you, but we do. And it is amazing. They see about 40,000 people a month in peak season.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Wow. That's really fantastic. And And what would you say, approximately how many visitors do you guys get a year?
In our county, which is Park County, which is the upper half of Yellowstone and into Cody there, we see a little over 1 million visitors every single year. Yellowstone sees usually about 4 to 4.5 million visitors every single year.
Wow.
Very cool.
Quite a few. And really most of those are anywhere between May and November. That's kind of the season that Yellowstone is open. There is also winter travel though as well.
Who comes in the wintertime, would you say?
For the winter time, it really is not so much families, but everyone else. It could be boomers, it could be newlyweds, it could be adventure groups. We have, I would say, 10 times more wildlife in the winter than we do in the summer. So we see a lot of photographers as well. A lot of outdoor recreation brands like North Face will come out here. Merrell and Gore-Tex will come out here and shoot stuff and test their products. So really everyone except for families, it seems like, will come out throughout the wintertime.
What kind of animals would you say people could experience while they're out in that area that maybe have never really looked at it or thought about, what would you say?
I know this show is only an hour, so I'll try to keep it to the big five, right? It's funny, I know Africa has their big five. I always say that we should promote our big five. But anyway, if you can get up early enough and usually get with a really good guide, you can see wolves out in the mar. Bison are going to be a given. If you're lucky enough, you might even have a bison jam, which everyone that doesn't live here enjoys. You also see black bears and grizzly bears. We are definitely the hub for grizzly bears. It's really our area in Alaska that have all the grizzlies. Also, you'll see elk, moose on rare occasions, mountain lions on rare occasions, but also lots and lots of birds. Oh my gosh, we have golden eagles and bald eagles and swans and cranes and you name it, we probably have it here, to be honest with you.
That's amazing. And you guys are on the migration trails and stuff too. So, it's amazing to see an abundance of those. It's not like you're just seeing one or two.
Yeah.
You'll see an abundance of them. And it's one of the things that I have experienced out west and other locations is that, you come upon these herds of animals and you're just, like you were saying, the bison, which will block traffic and just kind of hang out for a while, but it's still part of the experience.
It's funny, after you've lived here for a while, you start to see the difference between a bison jam compared to a bear jam compared to an elk jam. People scatter in different, more frantic ways for the more what I want to say, rare type of animals, but it's pretty cool. And to your point, for the migrations, there's no cages for these animals. There's no fences. There's nothing keeping them in or out of the park. And so you'll see these animals in and outside of the park quite a bit on your way in and on your way out, and then also while you're there.
That's fantastic.
Cool.
So as people come in, what are we looking at as far as accommodations for the travelers that are coming into your area?
Yeah. So, Cody specifically has really been built for group business. And so we do have a number of really well-established group hotels. And so, we have right around, I would say, probably 5 to 7 very group-focused hotels with other options on top of that. Another thing that our destination is really well known for is that our hotels are very group-friendly and that there is no attrition. We have great terms. Our pricing is definitely fair. A lot of our hotels can serve you breakfast, so you can eat and get out and go explore. And so some of the more notable hotels that you would want to look for would be the Blair Hotel properties, which would be the Holiday Inn, the Comfort Inn, and also some really quaint and cute cabins that you can have your travelers stay in. There's also the Best Western Ivy and the Best Western Sunset. They do a great job with groups. And then another really good property out by the rodeo grounds is called the Cody. And they also accept groups and have really good pricing in terms and stuff for buses. So lots of options.
Very cool.
Excellent.
Where with those groups would you suggest going to eat? Or is there like a special thing that people should try while they're out visiting?
Yeah. So once again, we all feel in this community that what makes a good trip is some good food. So there's a lot of options for groups. We'll go through a few of those today on the itinerary, but I'd say our number one attraction / food option for Motorcoach would be what's called the Cody Cattle Company. This is a nightly dinner and chuck wagon style food option that starts at 5:30 and goes until 7:30, about a half hour before the rodeo starts.
Okay.
So during this, you have a 5-member band that is up there playing music. It's an endless buffet with chuck wagon style food, lots of meat, lots of potatoes, vegetables, and it's all bottomless. You can have as many seconds as you want, including all the desserts that you could possibly want.
There's nothing wrong with that at all.
But yeah, on top of that, I mean, that would be our top food option, I guess, for groups. But there's also Dutch oven cookout options. You can head out to a ranch and have a dinner, one of the guest ranches. You can go to a few of the restaurants here and kind of have some private meal options, like at Trailhead, for example. That chef has a private room just for groups in which he can serve you just a normal meal off the menu or have something more escalated, I guess, more like a 4-course meal, something like that, to just kind of end your trip off on the right foot.
Very cool.
Well, you know, we know that the whole Cody area is also steeped in history. Share a little bit of that with us in the history of Cody and what people can expect to see as far as those historic areas.
Sure. Yeah. So everybody knows us, of course, as the town that Buffalo Bill founded, right? Buffalo Bill Cody. And truly, he is everywhere, whether stuff is named after him or his hunting lodge at Pahaska Teepee that you can go visit, or some of his favorite hangout areas. And also, of course, the number one thing that he built right in the middle of our town is the historic Irma Hotel that groups can actually eat dinner in. And so there's lots of Buffalo Bill everywhere you look. But on top of that, we had a lot of the more famous kind of, I guess you can call them bandits that would come through our area, like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kids. You can actually go out to an attraction called Old Trail Town. Basically, it's an outdoor museum, and you can actually see the old cabin that they used to hang out in. It still has bullet holes in it.
Oh, wow.
That's kind of cool. We also have a lot of famous women that really love this area, one of which was Amelia Earhart. And you can actually hike out to Amelia Earhart's vacation cabin that was being built before she was lost across the ocean there. So there's lots and lots of history, whether it's people that lived here, people that wanted to live here, or people that have passed through. And we have, I think we have 17 museums now. If history is your thing, there's lots of options to explore.
For the Amelia Earhart location, is that something that is considered like a historical landmark is that being maintained in some way by like a historical society or anything like that? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, so it's actually in the National Forest. So it's up to the National Forest Service to try to maintain that area the best they can. Okay. It's actually just outside of Kerwin, which is going to be part of the presentation today. But yeah, it's just a little bit of a hike, and they do try to preserve it as much as they can. Today, it's mostly kind of some logs, but they do have an imitation cabin right next to the spot that it can be. Yep.
Very cool. Didn't know that was there. That's awesome.
You know, it sounds like there's something for just about everybody. You know, so I know that you have things for adventure travelers, you have things for motor coach groups. How easy is it for people to get around and like do downtown Cody and places like that? Is it walkable when you're in the downtown area, or what would you suggest for our operators to plan on as far as bringing their groups around the area?
We have a very, very walkable destination. Our downtown is short, it is flat, everything is right there. It's funny, whenever we do usually 1 or 2 tour operator fam trips a year, and it's hilarious because they'll say, all right, let's get in the car. And then 30 seconds later, we're like, all right, we're parked. Let's get out of the car and we'll go to the next thing. And it's so funny because we really don't need to drive anywhere. So if stuff isn't walkable, usually it's kind of, it's in a separate area where there's a lot of other stuff that's together that becomes walkable. So for example, Old Trail Town, Cody Cattle Company, and the rodeo are not walkable from downtown, but they're all walkable to each other. A little bit outside of town. And so, yeah, our downtown is very walkable, and I would definitely dedicate some time for people to be able to shop around and walk around downtown and just enjoy our Old West feel that we have in our downtown.
Excellent.
Awesome. Very cool.
So what would you say, you know, I'm sure you see groups come and go. What is one thing, or at least one thing, that you wish more people would take advantage of when they come into your area?
more days in Cody. I mean, truly. People are worried about getting Yellowstone and enough time in Yellowstone, so they're trying to beeline it to the national park. The number one complaint I hear, the number one everything I hear is, oh my gosh, we should have spent more time when we were in Cody.
Yeah.
There is so much to do here. Whenever we run those tour operator fams, many of them change 1 or 2 nights in Cody to usually a 5-day hub and spoke in and out of Cody. Because of there's so much to do here. And so that would probably be the number one thing I'd say is plan for more days in Cody and, hub and spoke in and out of the park, and don't worry about, trying to get there too soon or too long.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was going to ask too is hub and spoke. If that is and it really does sound like that would be the perfect place to do it, because then you can spend more time, immersing yourself in the local feel as well as going out and seeing all the sites as well.
Yeah.
So it's good to know.
And why that works well too is we are actually the only destination that has access to 2 different gates. So you can go in the northeast gate, which will also take you over Chief Joseph, the number 3 scenic byway in the country. And then you'll go into the northeast gate, which drops you into Lamar Valley, which is where 75% of the wildlife is. And then you can go through all the different attractions on the north or on the upper loop, and then go back out the east gate. And so you can go in one gate, out another gate, and never have to backtrack at all.
Very cool. So speaking of attractions as well, is there anything new that's up and coming that's going to be coming into the Cody area that you think groups would really like to see in the future? Is there anything that's going to be newly available this fall or spring? Do you have anything like that happening?
Yeah, so something that just became available this summer, actually. So I'll back up a little bit. The thing that people notice the second they get here is just how beautiful our outdoors are and just the abundance of outdoor recreation. And there's lots of options for families and smaller groups to enjoy that, but we finally have an amazing option for 50 passenger motor coaches to enjoy, which is a side-by-side trip out to an amazing place called Kerwin Ghost Town. It's an old mining town where you get to take side-by-sides all the way out to this ghost town in the middle of the national forest. On your way there, you're surrounded with massive, steep mountains, the mountains that you expect to see when you're in Northwest Wyoming. The wildlife, it's a great habitat for moose and grizzly bears, so you might see some of those on your way out there. Just to get there, you'll be going over river crossings and some cool water spots. And then because it's an old mining town, some of the rocks have changed color. So you'll see spots that are royal blue or dark red or super white throughout the river. It's a spectacular area. It's a full day trip. But if I had to choose myself between Yellowstone and Kerwin, I would choose Kerwin. And now we have that available to motor coach groups. We just took one out, actually, and it was 15 side-by-sides to get 50 people out there. It was quite the spectacle.
Holy cow.
But it's good that you can do it, and you can handle groups of that size going out to those locations. And that's it's one of the other things that people always ask. Can they bring a motor coach in? And you were saying you are a motor coach friendly location. So
yep, we have been built around motor coach. And I think one thing that really sets us apart is, we have so much going on, everything from the rodeo to all the different attractions we have to outdoor recreation options now, and everything is offered every day. Mm-hmm. You don't have to plan to be here on a Thursday night at 5 to see, the Cody Cattle Company. You can come any day of the week. So we're really easy to build an itinerary around and schedule around on that aspect.
Cool.
Excellent. Well, we want to continue the conversation, and we will do so in just a couple of moments. But first, we want to hear a little bit about some of our partners.
Group Travel Odyssey would like to take a moment to thank our amazing partners, including Book My Group, Travel Advocates, We Travel, Broadway Inbound, and Fly My Group. These partnerships help make business without boundaries possible, and we encourage our viewers to learn more about these wonderful companies. Now, back to Destination Dispatch.
Okay, so we are going to continue now by actually taking a deeper dive and looking at everything, well, not everything, but a lot that Cody and Yellowstone has to offer. I mean, we've got this amazing itinerary coming up, and I'm going to just go ahead and bring this up to the screen, and I'm going to have Ryan take us through this.
Do you see my screen okay?
I can indeed, yeah.
Wonderful. All right. So I thought I'd start off a little bit with, where are we? Because, I hear it a lot, especially from people from bigger cities. It's a different landscape than most people are used to. We are a massive, massive, breathtaking area, and it can kind of be intimidating sometimes. And so I thought I'd give you a quick overview of where we're at, how to get here, that sort of thing.
Great.
So here's Cody off to your right, and you can see you have access into either the East Gate here, or you can go up this way. This is Chief Joseph here, and then into the Northeast Gate this way.
Oh,
you have West Yellowstone here, Gardner's up here, Jackson and the Grand Tetons are south over there. So that gives you the general layout. Now I'll kind of go over some popular routes to get to us or through us. So one route is called Black to Yellow, short for Black Hills to Yellowstone. So that will take you from Rapid City over through Cody. And why this is such a popular route is, of course, Rapid City has a ton of fun stuff to do. They have Mount Rushmore and Crazy Horse. They have Custer. They have Deadwood. What's also nice about this, though, is you go over along the northern part of Wyoming, you also get to pass by Devil's Tower. Wyoming has the first national park in Yellowstone, first national forest in Shoshone National Forest, but also the first national monument in Devil's Tower. So you get to do all the nation's first on one trip. So you get to go through Devil's Tower and then shoot over through either Sheridan or Buffalo, go over the beautiful Bighorns, and then into Cody that way. Another option is what's called the Wild West Wyoming Loop. And maybe I made that name up. I can't remember, but that's what I've always called it. But, because we don't have an international airport, a popular route is to go from Denver down here and then kind of do a big lollipop all around the state. And keeping that perimeter of the state, you get to see and do a lot. And you can do anything from a 5-day kind of all miles type of tour all the way up to more of like a 10-day tour where you really get to do a lot more stops. Your typical, though, is going to be 6 nights, 7 days. And on that one, some of your highlights are going to be Devil's Tower, Yellowstone, Grand Tetons, and then Wyoming. We all have it. Authentic Western experiences all the way throughout, whether it's Conestoga wagon rides in Casper, or you can do Wild Mustang tours over in Lander. Lots and lots of options on that Wild West loop there. Another one is called Salt Lake to Sulphur. So Salt Lake is another great hub, especially if you guys like to use Delta quite a bit. So what's nice about that one is you got Salt Lake down here, and you can go up through Jackson, see the Grand Tetons up through Yellowstone, and then shoot out back on that Black to Yellow route over through into Cody. Through this one, you get to see Salt Lake City, obviously. You get to hang out and see the Tabernacle Choir, which is always a great option. Jackson Hole, who wouldn't want to go to Jackson Hole with all the great places they have to visit there? Teton National Park, Yellowstone, and then coming into us. And then if you do want to do a fly drive, if you're quite a ways away and you don't want to worry about driving your coach all the way across the country, we do have our own airport. Right now, we have 3 flights a day, every day, in and out of Denver. Here in a little while, we should have some flights coming in and out of Salt Lake, as well as in and out of Chicago. Post-COVID, it's one of the things we lost, but we will be getting those back hopefully soon. If you want a little bit bigger airport, Billings is actually pretty darn large airport. They have lots and lots of direct flights every single day. And then surprisingly enough, Bozeman has an even bigger airport if you want to land there, and then you can shoot down into Cody or down through Gardner and then over into Cody that way. So those are some ways on how to get here. So now you're here. What do you do? Well, the first thing you do is you check into your hotel. And like I mentioned, lots of options for hotels. This is the Best Western Ivy. You have the Holiday Inn, which is probably your #1 hotel in all of Park County for motor coach groups. You also have the Cody. You also have the Comfort Inn. And one of the ones I left off of here that's a great option are those little quaint, cute cabins. And those cabins, just so you guys know, each one of your travelers gets their own cabin, and they eat breakfast inside the Holiday Inn there. So it feels like you're off the grid, but you're not. You're right behind the Holiday Inn, and you still get breakfast and everything else included with normal hotel stay.
That's awesome.
So, depending on what time you get here, the way I usually design these itineraries is they can either have free time for the rest of the day after they check in, or if you're coming in late, no problem at all, because either way, you can have dinner at the historic Irma Hotel. This is a hotel that was finished in 1902 by Buffalo Bill himself. The reason it's called the Irma is because Irma was the name of his youngest daughter. And if you ask anybody that knows Buffalo Bill, probably his favorite child as well. And anyways, inside the Irma, you get private access into what's called the governor's room, where all groups will have dinner. And at the Irma, you can either do a buffet, a prime rib buffet, or you can order off the menu, whatever works for you guys. But no matter what, make sure everyone gets to try the bread pudding that has whiskey sauce dripped all over it. It is absolutely phenomenal.
Okay.
And I will tell you that whiskey sauce, I don't know if I would ever give it to my child. It tastes very, very whiskey. I've been promised multiple times that there is no alcohol left in that. But if you like whiskey, you're going to like it. If you don't like whiskey, I don't think you're going to like it. It is phenomenal, though. And travel writers, especially the ones that are kind of more food focused, always write about that bread pudding with whiskey sauce on it.
Wow.
So day two, what I wanted to show to you guys is kind of an option, I guess, where you drop half your group off at the Buffalo Bill Center of the West and half your group off at what's called the Cody Firearms Experience, which I'll explain what that is after the Center of the West. But the Buffalo Bill Center of the West is basically your must-do. If you only have 1 or 2 hours in town, you have to do the Center of the West. This is 5 Smithsonian affiliate museums all under one roof. You have the Draper Natural History Museum, which talks all about the wildlife throughout the greater Yellowstone area. You have the Whitney Art Museum, which is the largest collection of Western art west of the Mississippi. You have the Cody Firearms Museum, which is the second largest gun collection in the world. You also have the Indian Plains Museum, which talks all about the Native Americans that were here before us. And then, of course, the number one museum inside of there is the Buffalo Bill Museum, where you get to learn all about our town's namesake and everything that he did to become really the most famous man in the world at one point in time. So I would keep half your group there. I have from 9 to 12:30 here. So at that halfway point, the groups will switch, and the other half of the group will be right here at the Cody Firearms Experience. Now, this is what's so cool about the Cody Firearms Experience. The gentleman who used to help the curator at the Cody Firearms Museum inside the Center of the West is now who owns the Cody Firearms Experience. So he is a very high-level gentleman. To be a curator for a Smithsonian affiliate museum, you have to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And what he has for an experience here is you can actually walk into his facility, and it looks just like a museum when you first walk in. He has period guns that talk about what decades that they were prevalent. What do they have for history in the West? And it looks like a museum, except the only difference is you can take that gun off the wall and actually shoot it yourself.
Oh, wow.
So in these pictures here, you have the Gatling gun, which is everyone's favorite gun, to the left. That's the one that can shoot, I think it's 60 rounds in 5 seconds. But that one you actually just crank on. It has a handle to the right, and you just crank it. Okay. The one on the right is a black powder flintlock rifle that was popular right around the late 1890s. And you can see there's that big flume that pops up right before the bullet comes out. And it is just, it's super cool. And whether you've never even seen a gun or you're a professional shooter, it really caters to anybody and everybody. And typically we hear this is travelers' top 3 things that they do on this entire trip is go to the Cody Firearms Experience. It's phenomenal.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So after that, I would suggest doing lunch on your own. And in Cody, we have something called Cody Bucks. These are basically money that you can pre-purchase essentially for all businesses downtown. So you can include this in all your travelers' kind of welcome bags, and they think they got 50 free bucks, but you could probably just price it into the overall price of the trip, right?
Right.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, you can give them, and they have 5, 10, 15, 20, 50, whatever you want for Cody Bucks, but they're good for everywhere. And if you buy something that's $20, you don't lose your whole 50. You still have 30 bucks left over. Okay. So you don't have to spend it all in one spot there. And it gives them a chance to eat lunch, to do a little shopping because we have a lot of great retail around here, and enjoy our very walkable downtown.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
After that, I would suggest going to the Buffalo Bill Dam and Visitor Center. This was the largest dam in the country until the Hoover Dam was built. On the top left picture, you can see that balcony on top of the dam. That's where you actually get to walk out on. And the Visitor Center is that tall thing on the right that kind of has those black windows there. You can picture inside the Visitor Center on your very right. And I put a few videos here for you guys to kind of see.
Wow.
So that canyon that's in the middle, that's called Shoshone Canyon. And that is, I mean, the cell phone video does not do it justice, I can tell you that. It is absolutely phenomenal.
Wow.
And you are very, very high while you are on that balcony up there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Next thing you're going to do here is head off to Old Trail Town. Old Trail Town consists of 28 historic cabins that have been found all around the Bighorn Basin, which is kind of southern Montana and then our entire county here. And these are all truly historic cabins that were going to be probably either burned down or taken away, but instead they were found, they were taken down, taken here, and then reassembled just the way that they were. And there's historic cabins like the old Madam's house that's here. We have a cabin where Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid used to hang out, where there's still bullet holes there. And then Old Trail Town, I mean, obviously it has the look of a cool, fun Western town, but it actually was the original location for Cody's downtown before Buffalo Bill built the Irma and moved the downtown to where it is today.
Oh, wow.
It's also a real live grave site for historic figures. The most notable is Jeremiah Johnston, who was buried there 50 years ago next year. And one of his pallbearers was actually Robert Redford.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, this place is just chock full of history. They call themselves an outdoor museum, but I mean, you could spend all day here, let alone just an hour. It's a blast over there.
That's cool.
Then your group can walk over to Cody Cattle Company. This is a dinner and show every single night from mid-May to mid-September. Their last day this year is on Friday, tomorrow.
Okay.
And I know they're excited to take a day off. But this show is great. It is high energy. Ryan Martin, who's the head guitarist and lead singer for this, is actually pick artist of the year for Arizona the last 3 years in a row. He is very high level. And they actually do a show. They do two different types of shows, one on even nights, one on odd nights. They're relatively the same thing, but different songs, different acts, different things like that. But this is a must-do for all motor coaches. The food is bottomless. It's just an amazing time, and definitely gets you feeling like you're in the West.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
And then your group can just walk on over to the Cody Night Rodeo. This is a rodeo that happens every single night from June 1st all the way through the end of August. Their last night this year was September 2nd. And what's cool about this rodeo is it really is every event every night. So every single night you go, you're going to see bull riding, you'll see bareback riding, you'll see roping, you'll see saddle bronc, you'll see barrel racing. Everything happens every single night for the entire summer. And so if you've never seen a rodeo, it's going to knock your socks off. If you've seen a rodeo before, I mean, it still is very high level rodeo, and it's an absolute blast to go to. And talk about feeling like you're in the West. This is the one thing that makes it happen for sure. And we call ourselves the rodeo capital of the world for a reason.
Cool.
So hopefully you're ready for bed after that day.
That's a long day. Yeah.
So we'll let you sleep in the next day a little bit, and then we'll take you out to Hart Mountain Interpretive Center. This is something that's very unique that not a lot of people know about. So after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, all Japanese Americans had to go to concentration camps.
Right.
And we were one of the spots for those Japanese American concentration camps. And so at the height of Hart Mountain, it was actually the third largest city in all of Wyoming at 14,000 attendees there. And so you get to actually walk through the barracks. They have a really, really nice museum that starts off with a video. I have 9:30 start time for this because they actually open up early for groups, so you can have a private showing and guided tour with just your 50 travelers in there, having it all to themselves starting at 9:30. So kind of a must-do there. It's not what you expect with everything else being so lighthearted and Western, but huge part of our history, and they do such a great job showcasing it and explaining people's stories there. And it really is an emotional visit, but a must do while you're here.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
We'll then take you out to a small town of Powell, in which will take you to an alpaca farm, in which you'll get to partake in a delicious, and I mean so good, farm to fork meal. Everything that they serve you will be locally sourced, all the way from the grains in the bread, to the vegetables in the garden, to the grass-fed beef that we have all throughout our county. All of it's farm to fork. And while you're at an alpaca farm, you get a pet, some alpacas, sure enough. So these are alpacas. They're a little skittish, but if you have food in your hands, they'll become your best friend. And you'll eat right out of your hands. And it's a blast. And she shows you what she does with alpaca fur or hair and everything. Alpaca hair is actually twice as expensive as sheep's wool.
Yeah.
So it's a very profitable business, and you get to feel how much denser it is and softer, and just why it is so much more expensive. But that's all kind of part of the experience while you're out there.
Cool.
We'll then take you out on the Cody Trolley Tour. They say you get to learn 100 years in 1 hour, and they really do a good job. You go all around town and learn about anything from the Sears catalog houses that we have throughout town, some of Buffalo Bill's favorite hangout spots. And they eventually take you all the way out to the dam through that tunnel where you get to see spectacular views of the canyon. And this is one of those must-dos that we like to try to put towards the front of the itinerary, so you really get a good feel of the history and the layout of the land here.
Okay.
Then what I would suggest is I would say have that trolley take you guys out to UXU Guest Ranch. We are known, Wyoming is actually known as where dude and guest ranches started. We had the first dude ranch in the world, was actually in Sheridan, Wyoming, and today Wyoming has more per capita than anywhere else in the country. In our county, we have 15, with half of them being guest ranches and half of them being dude ranches. Out here, you can do an optional trail horse ride, and it's really pretty because you get to go right through the middle of the Shoshone National Forest. If people don't want to do that, honestly, just sitting out and seeing the beauty of the ranch is what I like to do, and just sit back with a drink and enjoy the views, because you are surrounded with beauty when you're out there. And then when you get out there and you're ready for dinner, they actually have a celebrity chef that will be there. He was here this year, and he will be here for the next 2 years at UXU. His name is Vinny. He's an Italian chef. And he can do an amazing 4-course meal for you that will, I promise you'll be waddling out of there by the time you're done. It is so good. The dessert's good. The meal's good. And the appetizers, he does a phenomenal job. So, yeah, definitely time at a guest ranch is the way to end one of your days.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
We have all this stuff going on. Eventually, you do probably want to go to Yellowstone, I would think. And so for Yellowstone, it's a massive national park. It's 2.2 million acres. The top, there's an upper loop and a lower loop. You can't do the whole Grand Circle in one day. So if you want to do just the upper loop or just the lower loop, you can do that in a day. If you want to do 2 loops, I would highly suggest planning for 2 days in the park.
Okay.
The upper loop, what that consists of, is you'll get to go into the Northeast Gate, and on your way to the Northeast Gate, you actually get to drive on what's called the Chief Joseph Scenic Byway. This is the number 3 most scenic byway in the country. You'll get to stop at a few stops on that byway where you get to see the overlook of the road. You also get to stop on the highest bridge in the state, called Sunlight Bridge. And your views on that road it's hard to describe. They're just gorgeous. That's what I could tell you.
Yeah.
Once you get to the Northeast Gate, you'll you'll do multiple stops probably in the Lamar Valley, because that's where 75% of all the wildlife in Yellowstone live in the Lamar Valley.
Wow.
So you'll have lots of wildlife stops for picture taking and stuff like that. You'll then go to Mammoth Hot Springs and walk the boardwalks along the thermal features there. You then see some geysers at Norris Geyser Basin. You then can stop and see the upper and lower falls of the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone. Yes, we have our own Grand Canyon in Yellowstone, and it is spectacular. And my favorite spot would be Artist Point at the lower falls in the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone. So that's what your upper loop looks like.
Okay.
Your lower loop is where you're going to find Lake Hotel, West Thumb, Old Faithful, and I would suggest at Old Faithful making time to stop at the Visitor Center as well. Mm-hmm. You also have the Grand Prismatic. That's the picture that you see right there. There's 2 options for the Grand Prismatic. If you have an active group with no mobility issues, you could take what's called Fairy Falls Trail, and that will give you that Instagrammable shot of the aerial view of the Grand Prismatic. If you do have people with ADA issues, or you don't have the most active group, you can just walk the boardwalks that will walk level with the Grand Prismatic, in which you'll be engulfed with steam. And what's really cool about that walk is you can actually see the colors in the steam even, which is kind of cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then you also get to see the fountain paint pots. It's that bubbling mud. And on that boardwalk, you also get to see some really cool blue pools. There's also geysers there. And the lower loop is a really great spot as well. It's more about the thermal features of the lower loop, and the upper loop's more about the wildlife. So you can choose what you're looking for.
Wow.
That night, as you're headed out the east gate, you're going to stop at Pahaska Teepee. Pahaska Teepee actually is Buffalo Bill's original hunting lodge, finished in 1902. That picture on the very right is what the hunting lodge looks like. It is very cool. They always have a Buffalo Bill impersonator there that you can talk to, and he does a great job. But yeah, they can handle 50 people for dinner, no problem at all. And that's another guest ranch of ours as well.
That's amazing.
And then you'll head back to Cody that night. Your Yellowstone day, just plan on your driver hitting his max number of hours. That's no matter what. There's nothing you can do about it.
That's funny.
Yeah. Oh, that is brilliant.
Now we're on to day 5. And day 5, we're going to start it off a little bit later once again, because your Yellowstone day will exhaust everyone for sure. So we'll head off to Meeteetse. Meeteetse is about 25 minutes outside of Cody. And your first stop is going to be with the Meeteetse Chocolatier. Now, he started his business off with a guy that loved rodeo, but couldn't make any money doing rodeo. So he started making chocolates, and it turns out he was very good at making chocolates. So he used to do bareback and saddle bronc riding, and he basically used chocolate to help his rodeo habit.
Oh, that's cool.
Today, he's been featured in New York Times. He's been professionally trained by other chocolatiers across the world. He travels to, I think it is Belize, every single year to work with the chocolate hands-on with the people that send him his chocolate every single year. That glass case that you see, he sells out of that every single day by usually about noon. Whenever he sells out, he is done for the day. And so you never know when he really closes, but he opens at 10.
Okay.
And this chocolate is like nothing you've ever had before. His cooking process is completely different. He uses ingredients that are all around us. So he has like his own beehives for his honey. He has his own sugar beets for sugar. He has, he has it all right there on his own land. So everything's locally sourced for the most part, other than the chocolate. But his chocolate is phenomenal. This is usually a huge highlight for people. And then we'll head off if you guys have a sold out motor coach, 53 people ready to go, we'll take 15 side-by-sides and we'll take you out to the ghost town of Kerwin. Kerwin is an old ghost town that used to be a mining town. And so to get there, you have to go through river crossings. You're going to be surrounded by these massive, steep, dramatic mountains. It's great habitat for moose and grizzly bears, so you might see some animals on your way out there. You can see in that middle picture, there's some blue rocks there. I should have put a better one up, but there's spots in the river where the rocks are royal blue, or all white, or dark red. And that's because these old mining towns, they took a lot of minerals out of the river, which made the other minerals more prominent, and it changes the colors forever. And so you have lots of different colors throughout the river. And I mean, the history of it all too, you'll actually be able to walk through, I think they have about 10 preserved mining buildings or the general store or log cabins that you can walk in. It's all preserved by the National Forest. And it is it's such a spectacular day. I mean, it is absolutely phenomenal. I posted a couple videos for you guys here to see. This is a motor coach group that we took out there. I think it was early August. And they're on the right, they're walking into that historic building there. That's one of the best mining buildings. This is me just walking. On the left is me walking through the camera of all the side-by-sides and people enjoying their lunches that they're having out there. You definitely have to pack a lunch, by the way, when you go out to this area.
That's really cool.
Those views are just gorgeous.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
It is. I mean, people expect to see wildlife and massive mountains when they come out to our area, Kerwin delivers on all counts. It is phenomenal out there. And then for any history buffs, obviously you have the historic ghost town of Kerwin, but about 3/4 of a mile away, it's an okay hike. You actually have the remains of Amelia Earhart's vacation cabin that was being built before she was lost across the ocean there. So history is everywhere, wildlife, scenery. Kerwin gives it to you everywhere.
That's awesome.
So you head back to town, and the last thing you'll do before you sadly have to leave is we'll do a chuck wagon cookout with everybody. The business name is Two Mules Chuck Wagon. They do this by request, but any night of the week throughout the summer. And they do everything over open flame in cast iron with their actual true historic chuck wagon that is from the late 1800s. And so cobbler, they do fruit cobbler, they do steaks, they do biscuits, they do beans, they do salad. There's alcohol and water and lemonade. This is a really fun way to end your Western itinerary, is with the chuck wagon cookout.
Wow.
And there could be 10 more days that we could add it on here, but I left it at 5 for you guys.
That is absolutely brilliant. And the thing that I love about it is, like you were saying, it's you're going into Yellowstone, you're taking time there, but you're also experiencing everything else that Cody has to offer and all the surrounding area. So it's not just a Yellowstone trip. You're actually seeing all of the history and everything else. You're spending more time doing that than actually just being in the park, which is brilliant. And as you can see from this was 5 days, and you're still not, you're not running out of things to do. Yeah, there's still 5 more days you can spend. So.
Yeah, we do really have it all. I remember back when I was a receptive operator, I always loved designing itineraries through Cody because there's just so much to do. You can make it as long or as short as you want to fit within the rest of your itinerary, or just make it all the trip could be in Cody. So depending on what your group is looking for, usually there's at least a couple days worth of stuff to do here.
Yeah. Well, and the thing that's great as well is especially right after the pandemic, when everybody was reopening, everybody's looking for stuff that does include more outdoor activities, and this just fits the bill. You've got so much that you're doing outside, and yet you still have the museums and the things like that you can do, but you're just getting the best of everything. So that's the perfect opportunity. So
yeah, absolutely.
And all this is available basically starting June 1st all the way till the end of August. At the end of August, the rodeo shuts down, but you can still do most of it basically till the middle of September even.
Okay.
Yep.
And as you were saying, then adventure travelers can also continue to come at other times during the year and even in the wintertime to do things as well.
They can. As spectacular as Yellowstone is in the summer, my favorite time, and you ask any local that's been to Yellowstone multiple times, our favorite time is winter.
Okay.
Winter, there's more wildlife, much more wildlife, minus the bears because they're hibernating, of course.
Right.
But think about when you're in very, very cold air and you throw a hot pot of boiling water in there, what that looks like. Now put that on Old Faithful scale.
Oh, yeah.
It is phenomenal. The stuff that you get to see in the wintertime is so fun. And out of our gate, out of the East Gate, we do have winter access by snowmobile. So if you're looking for snowmobile access, we got it. For snow coaches, you have to go over what's called Sylvan Pass. We don't have snow coach access, but we do have snowmobile.
Okay. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
It's phenomenal. It's fun.
Ryan, if they want to reach out and get more information from you, how can they do so?
Yep. So my email is Ryan.Hauck, which is HAUCK at CodyYellowstone.org. Actually, it's not .com.
Sorry.
That might have been my fault, actually. I put that on there. So .org.
So .org. Remember that. It's .org. Okay,
and then I go to all of our trade shows as well. So I'll be at ABA if you guys want to meet me there or have an appointment with me. And then our social media as well, if you want to keep in contact with the latest events going on or different things that are happening. We are actually on all 7 social media platforms. It wears me out even saying that. But if you want to go TikToking with Cody Yellowstone, we got it. If you want Facebook, Instagram, we have it. So, and then we also have our own YouTube channel as well. So we're easy to reach. I'll say that.
And for the social media, is it Cody Yellowstone that they would be looking up?
Every single one of them, all 7
Okay.
plus YouTube is all Cody Yellowstone. Yep.
Okay. Excellent.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Ryan, thank you so much. This is so much great information. And for all of our tour operators that are out there, the itinerary that he talked about today is actually in GTO already. So if you're looking for it, go to your templates and you'll be able to look up the Cody Yellowstone itinerary, and you'll be able to pull that up, and his information is in there as well, so you can reach out to him. So for those of you who are GT users, you can pull that right up. If you're not a GTO user, you can contact us and find out how you can be a GTO user, so you can have access to all of this information as well. So
Yes.
Ryan, again, thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming on today. And I know Kara will be out there probably soon, but
Like tomorrow. No, I'm kidding.
I might be joining as well. You know, I need to go help her look for land. Why not?
Yeah,
So-
right. Give me a shout. I love house shopping when it's not my own money.
Exactly. Right?
I know.
No, thank you guys for inviting me on the show. It was an honor. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank
No
you
problem
so
at all.
much.
Take care.
You too.
So also, you know, as well as this program, Destination Dispatch, we do have on every other Tuesday, we have got a GTO Coach and Go. Now, GTO Coach and Go is a program that we put together for our GTO users, and it shows you some of the new features, some of the ways to actually help make your day more efficient when you're working with GTO, when you're working in the Group Travel Odyssey system. So again, that is every other Tuesday at 2 p.m. And how can they get in touch with us, Kara?
So as a reminder, if you want to know more about Group Travel Odyssey, please visit our website, grouptravelodyssey.com. And also you can subscribe to our YouTube page. You can follow us on LinkedIn, and you can like us on Facebook.
Excellent. Well, just to let everybody know, we are going to be changing formats with Destination Dispatch in the near future.
Yes.
So keep your ears open. We're going to be sending out notifications about that as well. We've got some very exciting new things that are happening in the GTO world. And so you'll hear about it first. So again, thank you so much. And again, thank you to Ryan for all of the really wonderful information. And Kara,
Yes.
thanks for helping out today. We really
Thank
appreciate it.
you. This is great.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this episode of Destination Dispatch. We invite you to stay connected with Group Travel Odyssey on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, and be sure to check out more of our media, including GTO Coach and Go and the Destinations Beyond Expectations podcast. Please visit our website, grouptravelodyssey.com, where you can learn more about GTO and request a demo. Group Travel Odyssey, business without boundaries.